What is going on everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another Jedi Fallen Order discussion video. And in this video we are going to be discussing Jedi Fallen Order and what its success means for Star Wars games going forward. Because the game is pretty much gaining universal praise and has been a real surprise packet. It's been exceeding a lot of people's expectations, and this no doubt means that things going forward for Star Wars games is going to get pretty damn interesting. Now before we dive right into this guys, this video is actually sponsored by Epic Games. And it is of course for Jedi Fallen Order, which is the new Star Wars single player game, which is also again conveniently the topic of this video. Where of course you can go through your journey as Cal Kestis, a young Jedi, fighting off against Imperial Inquisitors and exploring some new and old locations in the Star Wars universe. Be sure to use the link below to download Jedi Fallen Order to help the channel out, and if you do download Fallen Order on the Epic Games Store, you will receive a free Stormtrooper skin in Fortnite. And again, if you do want, feel free to use my supporter creator code ozzyjedi66 to help support the channel. And once again, a massive thank you to Epic Games for sponsoring this video. I am more than happy to encourage people to get their hands on Jedi Fallen Order, as to be honest, it's actually one of the best games I have played in quite a while. So again, a massive thank you to Epic Games. But now guys, diving into the discussion of this video. And a side note, this video will not contain any major spoilers or anything like that, so don't stress. This is a safe video for you to watch if you haven't finished the game yet. So anyway, I made a video about 2 weeks ago regarding Jedi Fallen Order and why it could be huge for Star Wars games. This video is kind of going to act like a sequel to that one, because at the time I was really hoping that Jedi Fallen Order was at least just going to be a solid game. Obviously those expectations have been massively surpassed, as the game is one of my all-time favourites and possibly my favourite Star Wars game. I am an absolute sucker for some amazing graphics and cool Star Wars lore and characters, and this game delivered those things and then some. Like, I did not expect for the second sister to be perhaps my favourite character in the game. She has been given way more depth than I thought she was ever going to get, and I'm totally on board with it. Fallen Order has made me care about things that I normally don't care for in video games, and I think that's pretty impressive. But now, what does this success mean for Star Wars games in particular? Will we see a Jedi Fallen Order sequel? Honestly, who knows? But I do think that EA should keep giving free reign for Star Wars games to Respawn, because for their first effort at a Star Wars game, Respawn have totally knocked it out of the park, so I'd happily see them return for another game in the near future. Maybe they can make Fallen Order the start of a Jedi series, which has like games spanning across all eras of Star Wars, like playing as a Jedi during the Old Republic and it following a similar path to Fallen Order. Like, that would just be insane, and of course I am just spitballing here, but I think these kind of possibilities are certainly up in the air at this point, because this game's critical response surely has the higher ups at EA Star Wars thinking about making more games like this. Like, even if you aren't a big Star Wars fan, I think you can still have a lot of fun with Fallen Order. Obviously you won't feel the emotional weight of certain moments and callbacks that the game has to offer. And trust me, there are a lot of them. If you love the prequels, you'll love this game. But there's still tons of fun to be had, even if you don't like Star Wars, which I think in itself is a pretty impressive feat from Respawn and is sort of a testament to the gameplay. Fallen Order is one of the more in-depth experiences, at least I've enjoyed in major releases lately. I think the level of depth with the exploration and the combat not being, so one note, I think it was a bit of a shock to most people, and it plays into why the game has been such a welcome surprise. So if Respawn can make games that follow this amount of depth in the Star Wars universe, then we could really see some exciting projects in the next few years for Star Wars games. I would honestly be glad if EA completely ignored the Battlefront franchise for a while and focused on getting a ton more of like Fallen Order-esque type of games out there, as there is clearly a lot of hunger from Star Wars fans to see more games like this. The whole multiplayer module of the Battlefront franchise was designed to make money, and Fallen Order was designed for gamers. And I think the parallels are pretty obvious as to why people are falling in love with Jedi Fallen Order and why Battlefront has fallen into the back burner. Like, the Battlefront franchise still has a lot of players, but one can argue it should have a lot more, but that's a conversation for another time. Now, a lot of people are playing and, again, loving Jedi Fallen Order, but it is probably still a little bit too early to tell whether the game is going to be a massive financial success. Obviously, there's no in-game microtransactions, so the game's monetization is purely fixated on sales. The only thing you can really pay for besides the game itself is the deluxe edition, where you get some customization options including an orange lightsaber. It's a more than okay way to have different editions of the game there to buy it, because if you don't want to pay the extra for the deluxe edition, then don't. Nobody is forcing that upon you, unlike with the Battlefront games that gave you in-game upgrades in pre-order editions. So Fallen Order has no issues from that standpoint when trying to make sales. So the money this game makes is, again, purely based on sales, and from what it looks like, more and more people are buying the game due to the positive response that the game has generated, which is how it should be. A game should be selling well because it's a good game. So hopefully more and more people keep on buying this game, as it is an experience that you definitely do not want to miss out on if you're a Star Wars fan, or if you're a little bit on the fence with it. And I mean, the money could just come piling in, so we could in turn see more of these types of games in the future, because I think we can all agree that if we get more games like this, then the status of Star Wars games is going to keep rising. Fallen Order was the success that, Star Wars games really needed, at least from a critical standpoint. Like I said, only time will tell if the game makes enough money to warrant more games like this, as its monetization is like I said, purely based on sales and sales alone. But Jedi Fallen Order has without a doubt created a big shift when it comes to the Star Wars gaming license. Before Fallen Order's release, things weren't really running in an ideal fashion with the Battlefront series, so people had their skepticism when Fallen Order was announced. The general tone around Star Wars games right now has seemingly started to shift. There isn't really anyone, complaining or bad-mouthing the game on the internet right now, because there's nothing to badmouth. And I mean, that in itself is pretty impressive given the state of Star Wars games before Fallen Order came along. Like seeing all of these massive influencers on YouTube and Twitch playing the hell out of Fallen Order right now is a really good thing to see. The game's popularity at the minute is massively high, and that in turn can only mean good things for the future of Star Wars games. Given how well Fallen Order has been received, I would not be at all surprised if we start to see a massive shift with what types of Star Wars games we could see over the next few years. We do still have Battlefront 2 and its live service ongoing, with some Rise of Skywalker content coming in December and more unannounced content coming throughout 2020. So there is still something there for Star Wars fans like to play until Fallen Order, comes to a close like single player games eventually do. But hopefully by that time we have a new single player Star Wars experience there ready to take Fallen Order's place. Whether they stick to the linear but non-linear Star Wars story gaming experience, or take a shift to an open world Star Wars game, I think fans are going to absolutely eat up the next Star Wars game we get. Because Fallen Order has shown us that the new Star Wars games can match and even surpass the amazing Star Wars games of the mid-2000s, like your Knights of the Old Republics, your Force Unleashed, your Jedi Knight Jedi Academy games, whatever they were, all the really good ones of the mid-2000s. We now know that in the modern day, we can match that. Fallen Order's proven it, and that's a pretty exciting prospect for the future of Star Wars games. But I can say in summary that I have full confidence that Jedi Fallen Order's success is going to be a massive positive step in the right direction for Star Wars games. Whether we see more games like Fallen Order, or we branch out a little and, see some open world Star Wars games, or replicates of Battlefront 2 that have both multiplayer and single player, I am excited to see what we get, because now that there is a seriously good Star Wars game under EA and Respawn's belt, I think that the possibilities are just limitless, and that is really exciting. But guys, what do you all think of this? What kind of Star Wars games do you want to see next? Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like as it does help the channel out a great deal, and consider subscribing to the channel with notifications switched on, as notifications haven't really been working very well lately, so make sure you have clicked that bell. And remember, for all of you who do want to pick up a copy of Jedi Fallen Order, be sure to check out the link below to download Jedi Fallen Order for yourself, as the game, it's an absolute must play. You really should get your hands on this game, and I'm not saying that just because the video is sponsored. This game is an absolute banger. You should definitely try it out. And again, a big thank you to Epic Games for sponsoring this video. But that is going to do it for me today, so thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all again in the next one.